We're going to go over defending a double leg. Basic double leg. So we're going to start, our partner's going to be down, head on the outside. We have two options in Jiu Jitsu. We can attack the neck, but we're not going for that option. We're going to look to sprawl, get our legs back, spin behind our partner. Okay? So we'll start, young Rayman is going to start changing his level. His knee's going to be to the middle, his head will be to the outside. The first thing I'm thinking about is stopping my partner's shoulder with my hips. So not necessarily moving my hips back like this, because now it brings his shoulder forward and he pulls my legs out. Okay? It's bumping my hip forward and then looking to get his head to the center of my stomach. So I'm either pushing his head down with my hand or I'm using my chest to control his posture, control his head. So from here, I'm bumping forward, splitting my legs, can't keep my feet together, so I split my legs, I use my hips to bump, and as I bring my hips back, I'm using my right hand to push and then get his head to the center. Now, essentially what's happening is I'm turning this into a single leg. So we went from a double to a single. Okay, so my left hand is pushing his head down as I'm pointing my toes in this direction of my knees. So now it's forcing my right hip to press up against my partner's shoulder. So now we're heavy here. So I'm pushing his head down. My right hand is just going to be a hook on his armpit, sprawling my hip back. So when I sprawl my hip back, I take my left hand, I'm pushing his head down, I'm heavy on my right side. Now I take my chest and I start to push his head down with my chest and my hand can come out. So regardless, I'm either pushing the head down with the hand or I'm using my chest, but something has to stop his head from coming up. So if I don't have a block here, his head comes back up, he grabs a hold of my leg, and he starts to build his base up. So we're constantly pushing, turning, and squaring up with my partner. So for right now, I'm going to get on my toes, I'm going to pick a side. So from here, I'm going to walk. And as I walk, I continue to block his head with my opposite hand. My right knee is going to go past his elbow, and then I get right behind my partner. Okay? So here, he changes levels. As soon as he shoots in, I use my hip to bump, and then get his head to the other side. So I'm not pushing from here, I'm pushing with my hip coming back, and now I can push his head across. When I'm pushing his head across, I'm keeping pressure on his shoulder, so I'm turning my knees and my toes out in this direction. So it forces him to let go of his leg and almost turn into a single leg. Pushing the head down, heavy on his shoulder with my right hip. My right hand is cupping his armpit. I'm sprawling back. If I feel like he's still connected if I feel like he's really trying to pull that leg in, I get to the laces of my foot, and when he goes to pull, go to pull or drive forward, it slides me back. Okay, but what I don't want to do is necessarily stay on my toes right away, because now when he starts to drive forward, he builds his base up. So you're going to go back and forth. The laces on the mat, toes on the mat, back and forth, back and forth. Now I square back up, I grab a hold of his tricep, my chest and my hips heavy on top of his head, and I sprawl my leg back. Okay, wide legs, splitting my legs, then I can get up on my toes. So I pick a side, since my head is on this side, I bring my opposite arm across, pushing his head down, blocking his arm. Okay, once I block his arm, I shoot my right knee past his elbow, so he's not catching my legs. I step up, hip to hip, and then behind my partner. So here, change levels, widen my legs, hip forward, push the head across, start to push the head down. Okay, now from here, I'm covering his head with my chest, continue to sprawl my legs back. Up on my toes, I block, shooting my knee back, and then getting right behind my partner. Defending the basic double leg.